A lot of us believe that the winter blues just have to do with the fact that we have shorter days, maybe it's a little bit colder, maybe we're dealing with family stress, but there's actually a lot of scientific evidence that's pointing to physiological reasons to why we feel a little bit down in the dumps when it comes down to the winter months. And a lot of it has to do with vitamin D. Now, I'm going to reference one major study that took a look at a lot of details when it comes down to the correlation between seasonal affective disorder and vitamin D. But before I do that, it's really important that you understand that vitamin D is not just about strong bones at all. In fact, that's quite a small portion of it. Vitamin D is a hormone and it affects our moods significantly. And it can also, because it's a hormone, affect other hormones which subsequently affect our mood. So it's a lot more of a catalyst for feeling good or feeling bad than we might think. And that's why it's very, very important that our vitamin D levels are where they should be. So this 2010 study that was published in Medical Hypothesis was a deep down dive into 4 good solid reasons as to why vitamin D is correlated with seasonal affective disorder. So the researchers from this study pointed out 4 solid reasons. The first one being the fact that there is a direct correlation with vitamin D deficiencies during the winter months, the exact same months where people have the most instances of seasonal affective disorder. So when people are sad and people are bluesy, well, coincidentally, they also seem to have low levels of vitamin D. But that's not enough to really prove it to me. So it's probably not enough to prove it to you. So let's look at some of the other reasons. The number 2 thing that they identified was that patients that were suffering from depression or other psychiatric issues generally had lower levels of vitamin D. Now, again, that doesn't prove everything, but when you start combining them, it's starting to add up. Generally, people who are depressed, no matter what time of year, also have low levels of vitamin D. Or if they're anxious or have other mood disorders, well, coincidentally, vitamin D levels are low. Okay, now the third reason is really, really interesting, and this is one you probably have not heard of before. You see, you have something in your body that is known as SERT, SERT for short. Okay, SERT is a type of protein that carries serotonin. Now, in case you don't know, serotonin and dopamine are neurotransmitters that allow you to feel good. Okay, they give you that feel-good response, that sense of reward, that sense of well-being. Well, you would think that SERT would be a good thing, right? Because SERT is a carrier protein for serotonin. Well, believe it or not, it's not. And what it's been shown is that lower levels of vitamin D and during the winter months, we have an increase in this SERT. Well, this SERT doesn't carry the serotonin to where it should go. It carries it to another place. You see, what it does is it takes the serotonin from the synaptic cleft over to what is called the presynaptic neuron. It's taking it to the wrong place, basically making it so we can't complete the cycle of serotonin reuptake that we actually need in order to feel good. So dark winter months equals an increase in SERT, which equals a lessening effect of serotonin, which therefore makes you feel sad and bluesy. Which leads me into the 4th thing that these researchers found, and that was that we have a high level of vitamin D receptors in the hypothalamus portion of our brain. Now, the hypothalamus is really the control center. It's the epicenter of everything that happens in our body, or that the brain is dictating out to the body. So when we have vitamin D receptors and they're not getting the trigger that they need, they're not getting the stimulation because we don't have enough vitamin D, it's very easy to see how that could have a big effect on our mood and how our mental well-being is. So what do you do about this? Well, there are countless studies that have shown that during the winter months, vitamin D supplementation or at least absorption can dramatically increase how someone feels or their sense of well-being. Problem is, it's hard to absorb vitamin D. That's exactly why PuraTHRIVE has it in a liposomal form, which quite honestly I think is probably the safest way to actually get it in without just wasting it. Vitamin D is a hormone, which means it has a very profound effect on your body that can do a lot of good things. But if it's done wrong, it can do negative things. So you want to make sure you're getting the right absorption and getting the right kind of vitamin D so that you don't either go overboard or not get enough. So click on the link and I'll explain a little bit more about how vitamin D works and how you can take advantage of PuraTHRIVE's liposomal form of vitamin D to ensure that you get the best absorption possible. As always, I'll see you on the next page.